this quirky town has its own magic, and you have to come here to experience that magic. I am Sabrina Kennedy. I am an American-born singer, rock star, and witch. I moved to the UK 4 years ago. I had this burning desire to belong.
I really loved this piece because it created such a deep sense of ambiance and a sense of the occult permeating through the piece. That intrigue that kept bringing me closer to see that, yeah, there's something more here. And I think that that mystical sounding soundscape really elevated the experience as well, and it made it quite immersive. Um, I was impressed by how open the subjects were into sharing the deep dive into their worlds, and to kind of break away a lot of the stigma of witches, and also to invite us into that inherent power that witchcraft can channel. I felt so invited into the folds, and it demystified the mystical, but also revealed some of that underlying power. It was really nice being in those crowd scenes as well, because I felt like I was very much a part of it. And being in one of the private sessions, also to see like the therapeutic quality of that, and just kind of getting entranced by the chants and the songs was lovely.
This dives into mind, body, spirit, soul. This dives into one of our leading ladies here. We get to see her perspective as she visits her home, so to speak, Glastonbury. She identifies being a witch and having this ceremonious experience with magic. And she has come home for Halloween to celebrate her new year. She dives into the different religion aspects here of how she doesn't, when it comes to spirituality, she doesn't necessarily identify as one true thing, as she does go to church. And she does have elements of Buddhism in her daily practices. Um, Along with identifying of being a witch. So we get to kind of see her journey as this part of the world takes on a more traditional, ritualistic approach to Halloween, despite what we might be used to in our cultures. And it's really nice to see how someone kind of identifies, connects, and explores with this sort of nature within themselves. And we get to see a little bit of what this world, this perspective of paganism, so to speak, is for these people in this part of the world.
So interesting, this Sabrina, an American who's rather famous from television shows. She feels at home in England, in Glastonbury, and from the scenic footage the filmmaker produces. What a gorgeous, quaint little charming town. Who wouldn't want to try living there? I like that the documentary reveals the honesty of what the witch and the practice of that religion actually means for Sabrina herself. And she's so open about it. I really appreciate that. It demystified the topic somewhat for me, although I don't identify with it. And I think that she was right in saying that it does bring about an empowerment for women who feel they've lost that or never had it, and that I can identify with.
In an attempt to educate and to correct a lot of the misconstrued notions about this practice in this documentary. With the witches, from what I gathered, there's a lot of connection to the past. There's a lot of connection to nature. There's a connection to a great mother. And it's a very woman-focused practice. And it seems like it's centered around idea of taking back control and women empowerment. And I thought they did a good job of showcasing that, showcasing the practice, maybe breaking down some of the misconceptions with this piece.
When we hear witch, we just think of evil, but I know that's not necessarily the case. This just had a really nice positive tone to it. And I like how she said, this is just a side note because I kind of relate to this. Like, she has to live in a big city, but she feels more comfortable in a small town. And I feel the same way. It's like you have to be somewhere for your career, your passion, but you are a sensitive person and empathetic. So it's really hard to live in a city when you're like that. And you're creative and things. So really nice music throughout, nice visuals of the land and the town. I thought the cinematography was really good. And I thought the town was a character on its own. Just everything about this was interesting. I don't really know much about it. Much about what witches do or what, the costumes that they had on were really interesting, and they just seemed very positive and loving.
The testimonials, the priestess describing the rituals, and then you are there through the ritual and you see the elements and the phrases they use, who they address to, and with the music, it's just a very interesting piece, very alluring. I had a great time.
So it's really interesting to see the versatility of like that spirituality, the way you take it from different religious and spiritual traditions. That's really cool. I thought the idea of like being called somewhere, finding your home rather than just accepting where you were born is also a really cool idea. And it's also really fascinating just to get a glimpse into these ancient spiritual traditions and rituals that still go on today. It's just a really, really fascinating entrance into a very interesting, old, complicated world. The world of the spiritual, and kind of draws you in and makes you want to investigate it more. So it was really, really interesting.